Between 1950 and 1980, American grandmothers created 60 spectacular no-bake heirloom desserts that required nothing but refrigerator space and overnight patience. Simple gelatin, cream cheese, and whipped cream transformed into edible masterpieces. They looked like French pastry shop creations and cost less than $2 to feed 12 people. These weren't convenience recipes. They were calculated geniuses born from necessity. By 1985, every single one vanished. Instant gratification replaced grandmother's patient precision. Tonight, we're bringing them back. Nestle Road pie was the forgotten luxury of 1950s New York restaurant desserts that vanished when chestnut puree disappeared from American grocery shelves. Grandmas made this rum-soaked masterpiece with cooked chestnuts, candied fruits, maraschino cherries, and rich custard filling that set perfectly in the icebox overnight. The pie cost $1.35 to make in 1952 and served 8 people at elegant dinner parties. Each slice revealed layers of cream, chestnuts, and jewel-toned fruits that looked expensive but required no baking whatsoever. By 1987, nobody could find chestnuts anymore. What was the most unforgettable dessert you remember from your grandma's kitchen? Charlotte Russe was the elegant icebox dessert that required no oven but impressed every dinner guest who saw its delicate ladyfinger shell and cloud-like Bavarian cream center. Grandmas lined springform pans with crisp ladyfinger cookies standing upright like soldiers, then filled the center with gelatin-stabilized whipped cream flavored with vanilla and rum. The dessert cost 98 cents to make in 1954 and chilled overnight until perfectly set. Each slice showed off the beautiful cookie border surrounding pillowy cream that melted on your tongue. By 1985, nobody made homemade Bavarian cream anymore. Do you remember watching your grandmother carefully arrange those delicate ladyfingers around the pan? Broken glass cake was the late 1950s icebox dessert that looked like shattered rainbow glass frozen in time inside creamy white gelatin. Grandmas made 4 different colors of Jell-O in separate pans, broke them into jagged pieces with their hands, then layered them in a glass dish with sweetened condensed milk gelatin poured over top. The dessert cost 85 cents to make and set overnight until the broken Jell-O pieces looked like colorful gems trapped in clouds. Each spoonful delivered random bursts of strawberry, lime, orange, and grape flavors. By 1988, nobody had patience for this anymore. What colorful dessert do you remember most from childhood?
Many of you have been asking where to find these recipes. We've gathered hundreds of them from the Depression era through the 1970s in our cookbook, Grandma's Kitchen. Complete instructions, pro tips in 10 chapters. Link is in the description below. Now, let's get back to the video.
Luncheon salad was the 1952 lime Jell-O creation that appeared at every church potluck and ladies' luncheon until cream cheese Jell-O molds fell completely out of fashion. Grandmas dissolved lime gelatin in hot water, stirred in softened cream cheese until smooth, then added crushed pineapple and chopped walnuts before chilling overnight. The salad cost 49 cents to make and served 12 women at afternoon gatherings. Each pale green square had creamy tang from cream cheese balanced against sweet pineapple and crunchy nuts. By 1984, Jell-O salads became punchlines instead of prestigious dishes. Have you ever tasted a dessert that brought back instant memories of family gatherings? Re-hook. These 5 forgotten desserts cost less than $6 total to make in the 1950s and fed entire families without turning on a single oven. But icebox desserts required something modern cooks don't have anymore: patience to wait overnight while gelatin set and flavors married together perfectly. Woolworth's icebox cheesecake was the famous lunch counter recipe that every grandmother tried to recreate at home after tasting the original at their local 5 and dime store. The recipe used lemon Jell-O, dissolved in boiling water, then beaten with softened cream cheese, sugar, and lemon juice until perfectly smooth, before folding in whipped evaporated milk. Grandmas poured the mixture into graham cracker crusts and chilled overnight until set like clouds. The cheesecake cost $1.12 to make in 1955 and served 8 people. Each slice was lighter than air, but tasted rich and tangy. By 1986, Woolworth's lunch counters closed forever. Did you ever eat at a Woolworth's counter? Coffee Toffee Pie was the sophisticated no-bake dessert that combined crushed toffee candy bars with strong coffee-flavored filling inside a chocolate cookie crust. Grandmas made this for bridge club meetings by mixing instant coffee granules into sweetened condensed milk, folding in whipped cream, then layering crushed Heath bars throughout. The pie cost $1.48 to make in 1956 and impressed every guest who tasted coffee and toffee together. Each bite delivered crunchy candy pieces against smooth coffee cream. By 1987, nobody served elegant desserts at card games anymore. What's your favorite memory of Grandma entertaining her friends at home? Swedish creme was the silky smooth gelatin dessert that Scandinavian grandmothers made for Sunday dinners using heavy cream, sugar, and sour cream chilled in individual molds overnight. The recipe required heating cream with unflavored gelatin and sugar until dissolved, then folding in cold sour cream and vanilla before pouring into pretty glass dishes. The dessert cost 93 cents to make in 1953 and served 6 people with fresh berry sauce drizzled on top. Each spoonful tasted rich and tangy, like elegant panna cotta. By 1985, nobody made individual molded desserts anymore. Do you remember desserts served in special glass dishes at your grandmother's table? Icebox fruitcake was the no-bake alternative to traditional Christmas fruitcake that required 0 oven time but delivered all the candied fruit and nut flavor people loved. Grandmas crushed graham crackers, then mixed them with melted butter, chopped dates, candied cherries, golden raisins, coconut, and miniature marshmallows bound together with sweetened condensed milk. The mixture pressed into loaf pans and chilled 3 days until firm enough to slice. The fruit cake cost $1.19 to make in 1954 and lasted weeks in the refrigerator. Each slice showed colorful fruit pieces throughout. By 1986, fruit cake became something people only joked about. What traditional Christmas dessert did your family make every year? Strawberry fluff was the pale pink cottage cheese dessert that appeared at every 1950s potluck and church picnic until Jell-O salads completely disappeared from American tables. Grandmas mixed dry strawberry Jell-O powder directly into cottage cheese without dissolving it in water first, then folded in drained crushed pineapple and whipped topping until everything turned fluffy and pink. The salad cost 67 cents to make in 1955 and served 10 people as either side dish or dessert. Each spoonful delivered sweet strawberry flavor against tangy cottage cheese curds. By 1983, nobody served cottage cheese desserts anymore. Did your grandmother make Jell-O salads for summer gatherings? 10 desserts down, and we've spent less than $12 feeding dozens of people without baking a single thing. These icebox creations taught grandmothers how to stretch ingredients, impress guests, and create beauty from simple gelatin, cream, and fruit. But the best recipes are still waiting ahead. Orange fluff salad was the bright tangerine dessert that combined orange Jell-O, vanilla pudding mix, crushed pineapple, mandarin oranges, and miniature marshmallows folded into whipped topping until clouds formed. Four grandmas made this for Easter dinners and spring luncheons by mixing everything together in one bowl and chilling overnight until flavors blended perfectly. The salad cost 74 cents to make in 1956 and served 12 people. Each spoonful delivered bursts of citrus sweetness against creamy pudding and soft marshmallows. By 1984, fluff salads became retro jokes instead of beloved traditions. What spring holiday dessert do you associate most with your grandmother's kitchen? Golden Glow Salad was the unexpected Jell-O creation that mixed shredded carrots and crushed pineapple into lemon gelatin until everything turned sunshine yellow and disappeared from tables when vegetable Jell-O molds fell out of favor. Grandma's dissolved lemon Jell-O in boiling pineapple juice, stirred in finely grated carrots and drained pineapple, then chilled in ring molds overnight. The salad cost 53 cents to make in 1954 and served 8 people. Each slice glowed golden yellow with orange carrot shreds suspended throughout like amber. By 1982, nobody wanted vegetables in dessert anymore. Did you ever taste a Jell-O salad that surprised you with unexpected ingredients? Pink Champagne Salad was the elegant raspberry Jell-O dessert that looked fancy but required no actual champagne, just cherry pie filling, crushed pineapple, and whipped topping, folded together until perfectly pink. Grandmas made this for bridal showers and anniversary parties by dissolving raspberry Jell-O in boiling water, stirring in cherry pie filling and pineapple, chilling until syrupy, then folding in whipped topping. The salad cost 98 cents to make in 1957 and served 10 people. Each spoonful tasted like celebration, with sweet cherries and tangy pineapple. By 1985, pink fluffy salads became outdated. What's the fanciest dessert you remember from a special family celebration? Ribbon salad was the labor-intensive Christmas Jell-O masterpiece that featured perfect red and green striped layers separated by white cream cheese filling that took 2 full days to complete. Grandmas made lime Jell-O as the bottom layer, chilled until firm, spread lemon Jell-O mixed with cream cheese and marshmallows as the middle layer, chilled again, then topped with cherry Jell-O for the final red stripe. The salad cost $1.06 to make in 1955 and served 16 people. Each slice showed 3 perfect stripes. By 1986, nobody had patience for multi-day desserts. Did your grandmother make layered desserts for Christmas dinner? Stained glass gelatin was the beautiful refrigerator dessert that looked like church windows made from colorful Jell-O squares suspended in sweetened cream gelatin inside clear glass serving dishes. Grandmas made red, orange, yellow, and green Jell-O in separate pans, cut them into uniform cubes, arranged them in glass bowls, then poured unflavored gelatin mixed with sweetened condensed milk over top and chilled overnight. The dessert cost 89 cents to make in 1956 and served 12 people. Each spoonful revealed jewel-toned Jell-O cubes. By 1987, elaborate gelatin desserts disappeared completely. What beautiful dessert presentation do you remember most from childhood gatherings? 15 desserts in, and the pattern becomes clear. These weren't just recipes. They were edible art projects that required planning, precision, and patience. Grandmothers spent days creating rainbow layers and jewel-toned presentations that modern cooks abandoned for instant gratification. Millionaire Pie was the luxurious no-bake refrigerator pie that tasted expensive but cost less than $1 to make, using crushed pineapple, sweetened flaked coconut, chopped pecans, maraschino cherries, and sweetened condensed milk, folded into whipped topping. Grandmas mixed everything together in one bowl, spooned it into graham cracker crusts, and chilled overnight until set. The pie cost 94 cents to make in 1955 and served 8 people. Each slice delivered tropical flavors and crunchy nuts that tasted like vacation. By 1984, nobody made condensed milk pies anymore. What ingredient combination surprised you most in your grandmother's recipes? Cathedral window cookies were the no-bake Christmas treats that looked like stained glass when sliced, revealing colorful miniature marshmallows suspended inside chocolate coconut logs. Date nut roll was the old-fashioned no-bake confection that combined chopped dates, miniature marshmallows, graham cracker crumbs, and chopped pecans rolled into logs, chilled, then sliced into coins. Grandma's heated dates with butter until soft, stirred in marshmallows until melted, mixed in graham crumbs and nuts, shaped everything into tight cylinders wrapped in wax paper, and refrigerated 3 days before slicing. The roll cost 87 cents to make in 1953 and yielded 48 slices. Each piece tasted like caramel and nuts. By 1985, nobody made homemade candy rolls anymore. What's your favorite memory of unwrapping something special your grandmother made? Crown Jewel Cake was the show-stopping rainbow dessert from the 1957 Jell-O box that looked like stained glass windows made entirely from colorful gelatin cubes suspended in lemon cream. Grandmas made separate batches of cherry, orange, and lime Jell-O, cut them into perfect half-inch cubes, then folded them into fluffy lemon gelatin mixed with whipped cream and pineapple juice. The cake cost 72 cents to make and required no baking whatsoever. Each slice revealed jewel-toned Jell-O squares glittering inside creamy yellow filling that children begged for at every birthday party. By 1986, box recipes disappeared. Did your grandmother make this for special occasions? Pineapple Nut Puffs were the fluffy refrigerator dessert that combined crushed pineapple, miniature marshmallows, chopped walnuts, and whipped cream folded together and chilled overnight until flavors married perfectly. Grandmas mixed drained pineapple with marshmallows first. Let them sit 2 hours until marshmallows absorbed pineapple juice and softened, then folded in whipped cream and nuts before spooning into individual glass dishes. The dessert cost 79 cents to make in 1954 and served 6 people. Each spoonful delivered sweet pineapple, soft marshmallows, and crunchy walnuts. By 1983, nobody served individual refrigerator desserts anymore. Did your grandmother serve desserts in special individual glass dishes? Rum balls were the boozy, no-bake Christmas cookies that every grandmother made by crushing vanilla wafers, mixing them with powdered sugar, cocoa powder, corn syrup, chopped pecans, and real rum, then rolling the mixture into balls and coating them in extra powdered sugar. The cookies required no baking, just chilling overnight so the rum flavor mellowed and the balls held their shape. They cost $1.31 to make in 1956 and yielded 60 cookies that adults loved. By 1987, homemade rum-soaked treats disappeared from cookie exchanges. What adult-only treat do you remember from your grandmother's holiday baking? 20 desserts that required nothing but refrigerator space and grandmother's patience. These weren't shortcuts. They were calculated decisions to create impressive desserts without heating up kitchens during summer or wasting oven space during holidays. The next 40 prove this tradition ran even deeper than anyone remembers. Heavenly Hash was the fluffy marshmallow dessert that combined miniature marshmallows, crushed pineapple, maraschino cherries, chopped pecans, and whipped cream folded together until clouds formed, then chilled overnight until flavors married into something grandmothers served at Easter and summer picnics. The recipe came from 1950s church cookbooks, where women shared their most requested potluck contributions, and Heavenly Hash appeared in at least 40 different community recipe collections between 1952 and 1959. Grandmas made this by draining crushed pineapple thoroughly, saving the juice for other recipes, then mixing the pineapple with miniature marshmallows and letting them sit together for 2 hours so the marshmallows absorbed pineapple flavor and softened slightly. After the resting period, they folded in chopped maraschino cherries, toasted pecans, and freshly whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar and vanilla extract. Everything got spooned into a glass serving bowl and chilled overnight so the marshmallows softened completely and the cream took on fruit flavors. Grandmas made this by draining crushed pineapple thoroughly, saving the juice for other recipes, then mixing the pineapple with miniature marshmallows and letting them sit together for 2 hours so the marshmallows absorbed pineapple flavor and softened slightly. After the resting period, they folded in chopped maraschino cherries, toasted pecans, and freshly whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar and vanilla extract. Everything got spooned into a glass serving bowl and chilled overnight so the marshmallows softened completely and the cream took on fruit flavors. The dessert cost 92 cents to make in 1954 and served 12 people at church potlucks, bridge club meetings, and ladies' luncheons. Each spoonful delivered soft marshmallows against crunchy nuts and sweet cherries suspended in vanilla cream that tasted like celebration. The pale pink color from cherry juice made it perfect for baby showers and bridal teas throughout the decade. By 1984, marshmallow-based desserts became considered old-fashioned and unsophisticated, and Heavenly Hash disappeared from potluck tables completely. Modern cooks replaced it with store-bought cheesecakes and tiramisu that required no overnight chilling or patient ingredient preparation. What marshmallow dessert brings back the sweetest childhood memories for you? Grasshopper pie was the sophisticated mint chocolate refrigerator pie that originated at Tuhage's restaurant in New Orleans during the 1950s, then spread across America as the signature dessert every grandmother made for dinner parties when she wanted to impress guests with something that looked difficult but required absolutely no baking skills whatsoever. The filling combined marshmallows melted with milk in a double boiler, stirred until smooth, then cooled before folding in green crème de menthe liqueur, white crème de cacao, and whipped heavy cream until the mixture turned pale mint green and fluffy as clouds. Some grandmas added a few drops of green food coloring to make the color more vibrant. The filling got spooned into chocolate cookie crusts, made from crushed Nabisco famous chocolate wafers, mixed with melted butter, and pressed into pie plates. The pie cost $1.68 to make in 1957 and served 8 people at elegant dinner parties. Each slice revealed pale green mint filling against dark chocolate crust, and the combination of mint and chocolate tasted like sophisticated after-dinner mints, transformed into creamy pie. Grandmas topped slices with additional whipped cream and chocolate shavings before serving, making the presentation look like something from a fancy restaurant. The pie required chilling at least 4 hours before serving, preferably overnight, so the marshmallow base set properly and the alcohol flavors mellowed into the cream. By 1986, nobody made marshmallow-based pies anymore, and the classic grasshopper pie became something people only read about in vintage cookbooks. Do you remember the first time you tasted mint and chocolate combined in a dessert? Lemon Lush was the 4-layer refrigerator dessert that became the star of 1950s church potlucks, combining a pecan shortbread crust, cream cheese layer, lemon pudding layer, and whipped topping crown that required no oven except for the 15-minute crust baking. Grandmas across America made slight variations, but the essential formula stayed consistent: sweet crust, tangy cream cheese, bright lemon pudding, and fluffy topping. The first layer started with butter, flour, and chopped pecans, pressed into a 9 by 13-inch pan, and baked just until golden, then cooled completely. The second layer combined softened cream cheese, beaten with powdered sugar, and half a container of whipped topping until smooth and fluffy, spread over the cooled crust. The third layer used instant lemon pudding mixed with cold milk, beaten until thick, then spread over the cream cheese layer. The final layer consisted of the remaining whipped topping spread smoothly across the top. The entire dessert cost $1.42 to make in 1956 and served 15 people at church dinners and family reunions. Each square revealed 4 distinct layers when cut, showing off the different textures and colors from golden crust to white cream cheese to pale yellow pudding to snowy topping. The combination of sweet, tangy, and creamy flavors made it universally loved. By 1985, layered refrigerator desserts fell out of fashion when people started preferring simpler, less time-consuming options. The precise layering technique and overnight chilling requirement made Lemon Lush too complicated for modern cooks who wanted instant results. What layered dessert do you remember your grandmother serving at special family gatherings? Butterscotch Delight was the golden-colored refrigerator dessert that combined butterscotch pudding, cream cheese, and whipped topping in perfect layers over a graham cracker crust, creating the ultimate comfort dessert that grandmothers made for Sunday dinners throughout the 1950s, when butterscotch flavor ranked alongside chocolate and vanilla as America's favorite dessert taste. Grandmas started by crushing graham crackers into fine crumbs, mixing them with melted butter and brown sugar, then pressing the mixture firmly into the bottom of a glass baking dish. The crust chilled while they prepared the first filling layer, softened cream cheese beaten with powdered sugar and vanilla until fluffy, then half a container of whipped topping folded in until everything turned smooth and cloud-like. This spread over the chilled crust. The second filling layer used butterscotch instant pudding mix beaten with cold milk until thick and creamy, spread carefully over the cream cheese layer without disturbing it. The final layer consisted of the remaining whipped topping spread across the top, then the entire dessert, chilled overnight, so all the layers set properly and flavors blended together. The dessert cost $1.18 to make in 1955 and served 12 people. Each spoonful delivered the rich caramel taste of butterscotch against tangy cream cheese and sweet graham crust. Some grandmas sprinkled crushed Heath bar pieces across the top for extra butterscotch flavor and crunchy texture. By 1984, butterscotch fell out of favor as a dessert flavor, replaced by more exotic options like tiramisu and crème brûlée. Butterscotch Delight became a forgotten memory of simpler times. What classic dessert flavor brings back the strongest memories of your grandmother's kitchen? Coconut Cream Lush was the tropical-flavored refrigerator dessert that layered coconut pudding, cream cheese, and toasted coconut over a buttery crust, creating the ultimate coconut lover's dream that grandmothers made for summer gatherings when families craved something cool and creamy that required no oven time during hot weather months. The dessert started with a crust made from crushed vanilla wafers, mixed with melted butter and sweetened flaked coconut, pressed into a 9 by 13-inch pan and chilled until firm. Some grandmas toasted the coconut first for deeper flavor. The first filling layer combined softened cream cheese beaten with powdered sugar and coconut extract until smooth, then half a container of whipped topping folded in until fluffy. This spread over the chilled crust. The second layer used coconut cream instant pudding mix beaten with cold milk until thick, spread over the cream cheese layer. The final layer consisted of remaining whipped topping spread across the top. Then everything got sprinkled generously with toasted coconut flakes before chilling overnight. The toasted coconut added crunchy texture against all the creamy layers beneath. The dessert cost $1.37 to make in 1957 and served 15 people at beach-themed parties and summer picnics. Each bite delivered intense coconut flavor from the crust, pudding, and topping all working together. The combination of textures from crunchy toasted coconut to smooth pudding to fluffy cream made every spoonful interesting. By 1985, coconut desserts fell out of mainstream favor, except for occasional appearances at Easter and summer cookouts. The multi-layer preparation seemed too complicated when simpler options existed. What tropical flavor reminds you most of summer gatherings at your grandmother's house? 25 desserts deep, and the common thread emerges clearly. These weren't recipes born from convenience, but from necessity during an era when entertaining meant making everything from scratch, chilling overnight, and presenting dishes that looked like professional bakery creations, despite never turning on an oven. Ambrosia pie was the southern refrigerator dessert that transformed the classic ambrosia fruit salad into an elegant pie filling by combining mandarin oranges, crushed pineapple, miniature marshmallows, sweetened coconut, and sour cream folded together and spooned into a graham cracker crust, then chilled overnight until everything set into something that tasted like sunshine in a pie plate. The traditional ambrosia salad dated back to the 1800s, but creative 1950s grandmothers discovered that the same ingredients worked beautifully as pie filling when bound together with sour cream instead of whipped cream. The tanginess of sour cream balanced the sweet fruit and marshmallows perfectly. Grandmas drained mandarin oranges and crushed pineapple thoroughly, saving the juice for other recipes, then mixed the fruit with miniature marshmallows and let everything sit for 1 hour so marshmallows softened and absorbed fruit flavors. After the resting period, they folded in sweetened flaked coconut and sour cream, spooned the mixture into homemade graham cracker crusts, and chilled overnight. Some grandmas added maraschino cherries for color and extra sweetness. The pie cost $1.04 to make in 1955 and served 8 people at Sunday dinners and church suppers throughout the South. Each slice revealed colorful fruit pieces and white marshmallows throughout creamy coconut filling. The combination of textures from soft marshmallows to chewy coconut to juicy fruit made every bite different. By 1984, traditional Southern ambrosia desserts became considered old-fashioned, and younger generations preferred more modern options. What traditional Southern dessert did your grandmother make that you wish people still serve today? Peach Bavarian was the elegant gelatin dessert that combined peach-flavored Jell-O with whipped evaporated milk and canned peach slices folded together, then molded in fancy ring shapes and chilled overnight until set into something that looked like it came from an expensive French restaurant but cost less than $1 to make at home. Bavarian cream desserts originated in Europe but became Americanized during the 1950s when creative home cooks discovered that Jell-O could replace the traditional egg custard base, and whipped evaporated milk could substitute for heavy cream at a fraction of the cost. Grandmas made Peach Bavarian by dissolving peach-flavored gelatin in boiling water, adding cold water, then chilling until the mixture became syrupy and thick, but not fully set. Meanwhile, they chilled evaporated milk in the freezer until ice crystals formed around the edges, then whipped it with electric mixers until it tripled in volume and formed stiff peaks. The syrupy Jell-O got folded into the whipped milk, along with drained canned peach slices cut into small pieces. Everything got spooned into decorative ring molds, brushed with vegetable oil and chilled overnight. The dessert cost 86 cents to make in 1956 and served 8 people when unmolded onto pretty serving plates and garnished with additional peach slices in the center. Each slice tasted like peaches and cream, but with a light, airy texture that melted on the tongue. By 1985, molded gelatin desserts became punchlines instead of impressive dishes, and Bavarian creams disappeared from American tables completely. Do you remember your grandmother unmolding beautiful desserts onto fancy serving plates? Raspberry chiffon pie was the beautiful pink refrigerator pie that combined raspberry Jell-O, frozen raspberries, whipped evaporated milk, and lemon juice, folded together until fluffy and mousse-like. then spooned into a graham cracker crust, and chilled until set into something that looked like French pastry shop quality, but required no baking skills whatsoever. Chiffon pies became wildly popular during the 1950s because they offered the light, airy texture of cream pies without requiring cooked custard or meringue that could fail because they offered the light, airy texture of cream pies without requiring cooked custard or meringue that could fail if not prepared perfectly. Grandmas made raspberry chiffon pie by dissolving raspberry jello in boiling water, adding frozen raspberries and their juice, then chilling until syrupy. Meanwhile, they chilled evaporated milk until ice crystals formed, then whipped it with lemon juice until it tripled in volume and formed stiff peaks like meringue. The syrupy jello mixture got folded into the whipped milk until everything turned pale pink and fluffy. The filling spooned into homemade graham cracker crusts and chilled at least 4 hours until set firm enough to slice. The pie cost 97 cents to make in 1957 and served 8 people. Each slice revealed beautiful pink filling studded with raspberry pieces throughout. Some grandmas topped slices with additional whipped cream and fresh raspberries when serving. The combination of tangy raspberries and sweet cream tasted like summer captured in pie form. By 1986, chiffon pies fell completely out of fashion, replaced by dense cheesecakes and chocolate tortes that seemed more sophisticated. What fruit flavor brings back the strongest summer memories from your grandmother's kitchen? Banana split cake was the no-bake refrigerator dessert that transformed the classic ice cream parlor treat into a layered pan dessert by combining graham cracker crust, cream cheese layer, sliced bananas, crushed pineapple, strawberries, whipped topping, chopped nuts, and maraschino cherries in perfect layers that mimicked everything you loved about banana splits without requiring ice cream or oven baking. Grandmas created this dessert during the late 1950s when creative cooks started transforming popular restaurant dishes into make-ahead refrigerator desserts that could feed crowds at family reunions and church potlucks. The base layer started with crushed graham crackers mixed with melted butter and pressed firmly into 9 by 13-inch pans. The second layer combined softened cream cheese beaten with powdered sugar and vanilla until fluffy, spread over the crust. The third layer featured fresh banana slices arranged in neat rows, then drained crushed pineapple spread over the bananas, followed by sliced fresh strawberries. The final layer consisted of whipped topping spread smoothly across the fruit, then everything got garnished with chopped pecans, chocolate chips, and maraschino cherries with stems attached, making it look exactly like a banana split transformed into cake form. The dessert cost $1.53 to make in 1958 and served 15 people. Each square delivered all the classic banana split flavors and textures in one bite. The dessert required chilling overnight, so all the layers set properly and flavors blended together perfectly. By 1985, elaborate multi-layer refrigerator desserts seemed too time-consuming compared to simpler modern options. What ice cream parlor treat brings back the happiest childhood memories for you? Frozen lemonade pie was the refreshing summer dessert that combined frozen lemonade concentrate, sweetened condensed milk, and whipped topping folded together and frozen in a graham cracker crust until it achieved the perfect consistency between ice cream and mousse, creating something grandmothers made during hot summer months when families needed cool desserts that required no oven time and could be made days ahead. The recipe appeared in women's magazines during the mid-1950s when home freezers became standard kitchen appliances and frozen juice concentrates revolutionized American cooking. Before frozen concentrates, making lemonade pie required squeezing fresh lemons, which made the dessert expensive and time-consuming. With frozen concentrate, grandmas could make the pie year-round for less than $1 total cost. They made it by thawing frozen lemonade concentrate just enough to stir, then mixing it with sweetened condensed milk until smooth and pale yellow. Whipped topping folded in until the mixture turned fluffy and cloud-like. Everything got spooned into graham cracker crusts and frozen until firm, usually overnight. The pie cost 91 cents to make in 1956 and served 8 people. Each slice tasted intensely lemony and sweet, with a texture that melted slowly on the tongue like frozen mousse. Some grandmas garnished slices with additional whipped topping and thin lemon slices before serving. The bright yellow color and tangy sweet flavor made it perfect for summer barbecues and 4th of July celebrations. By 1984, frozen pies seemed less sophisticated than French tarts and Italian gelato, and this simple lemonade version disappeared. What frozen dessert reminds you most of hot summer days at your grandmother's house? 30 desserts in, the genius becomes undeniable. These grandmothers weren't following trends, they were creating them. Every gelatin salad, every chiffon pie, every layered icebox cake represented hours of experimentation, testing, and perfecting until the recipe worked flawlessly, every single time, without failure. Cherry cheesecake icebox cake was the beautiful layered refrigerator dessert that combined graham crackers, lemon jello cheesecake filling, and cherry pie filling in perfect alternating layers, creating something that looked like professional bakery cheesecake but required no oven, no springform pan, and no water bath that could leak or cause problems for inexperienced bakers. The recipe came from the back of Jell-O boxes during the late 1950s, when Knox and Jell-O companies actively promoted gelatin as a modern cooking miracle that could create restaurant-quality desserts at home. Grandmas made the cheesecake layer by dissolving lemon Jell-O in boiling water, beating it into softened cream cheese with sugar until smooth, chilling until syrupy, then folding in whipped evaporated milk until the mixture turned fluffy and pale yellow, like traditional cheesecake filling. They assembled the cake by spreading a thin layer of filling in glass baking dishes, arranging graham crackers in a single layer on top, spreading more filling, adding another graham cracker layer, and repeating until all filling was used. The top got spread with canned cherry pie filling, and everything chilled overnight, so the graham crackers softened into cake-like layers. The dessert cost $1.28 to make in 1957 and served 12 people. Each slice revealed distinct layers of softened graham crackers and lemon cream, topped with glossy red cherries. The combination tasted remarkably similar to traditional baked cheesecake, but with less effort and expense. By 1986, real baked cheesecakes became the standard, and icebox versions seemed like inferior substitutes. What's your favorite memory of watching your grandmother layer a beautiful dessert? Apricot icebox cake was the elegant refrigerator dessert that combined apricot gelatin, apricot nectar, canned apricots, and whipped cream layered between vanilla wafer cookies, creating something that tasted like sophisticated European pastry but required nothing more complicated than waiting overnight, while layers softened and flavors married together perfectly. The recipe dated back to Depression-era icebox cakes, but gained popularity during the 1950s, when apricot nectar became widely available in supermarkets, and canned apricots appeared year-round instead of just during fresh apricot season. Grandmas made the filling by dissolving apricot-flavored gelatin in boiling apricot nectar instead of water, adding drained canned apricot halves cut into pieces, then chilling until syrupy but not fully set. They whipped heavy cream with powdered sugar and vanilla until stiff peaks formed, then folded the syrupy apricot gelatin into the whipped cream until everything turned pale orange and fluffy. The assembly involved spreading a thin layer of filling in glass serving dishes, arranging vanilla wafer cookies in a single layer, adding more filling, more cookies, and repeating until all filling was used. The cake chilled overnight, so cookies softened completely. Dessert cost $1.09 to make in 1955 and served 8 people. Each slice showed distinct layers of softened cookies and apricot cream. The mild apricot flavor appealed to people who found lemon or strawberry too intense. Some grandmas garnished the top with toasted sliced almonds for extra elegance. By 1985, icebox cakes seemed old-fashioned compared to mousse cakes and tiramisu. What unusual fruit flavor do you remember from your grandmother's desserts? Mocha refrigerator cake was the sophisticated coffee chocolate icebox dessert that combined instant coffee granules, chocolate pudding, and whipped cream layered between chocolate wafer cookies, creating something that tasted like expensive cafe dessert but cost less than $1 to make at home and required no baking skills beyond patience to wait overnight while flavors developed. Coffee-flavored desserts gained popularity during the 1950s when instant coffee became a kitchen staple and coffee culture expanded beyond morning beverages into afternoon socials and after-dinner treats. Grandmas made the filling by dissolving instant coffee granules in a small amount of hot water, letting it cool, then mixing it into chocolate instant pudding prepared with cold milk. They beat the mixture until thick and creamy, then folded in whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar. The assembly started with spreading a thin layer of mocha, filling in the bottom of rectangular glass dishes, arranging chocolate wafer cookies in a single layer on top, spreading more filling, adding more cookies, and repeating until all filling was used, ending with a layer of filling on top. Everything chilled overnight, so the crisp cookies softened into cake-like layers that cut cleanly. The dessert cost $1.41 to make in 1958 and served 10 people. Each slice revealed dark chocolate layers separated by coffee-flavored cream. The combination of chocolate and coffee tasted elegant and adult, making it perfect for bridge club meetings and dinner parties. By 1986, tiramisu replaced simple mocha refrigerator cakes as the sophisticated coffee dessert. What adult flavor combination do you remember from special occasion desserts at your grandmother's house? Vanilla wafer icebox cake was the classic Southern refrigerator dessert that combined vanilla pudding and whipped cream layered between Nilla wafer cookies, creating the ultimate comfort dessert that grandmothers made for Sunday dinners throughout the 1950s, when simplicity and familiar flavors mattered more than exotic ingredients or complicated techniques. The recipe appeared on the back of Nabisco Nilla wafer boxes and in community cookbooks across the South, with slight variations in every family. Some grandmas used vanilla pudding cooked from scratch with milk, eggs, and sugar. Others used instant vanilla pudding mixed with cold milk for faster preparation. The common element involved folding whipped cream into the pudding to create a lighter, fluffier texture than pudding alone. Grandmas assembled the cake by spreading a thin layer of vanilla cream in the bottom of rectangular glass baking dishes, arranging vanilla wafer cookies in neat rows on top, spreading more cream, adding more cookies, and repeating until all filling was used, ending with cream on top. Some grandmas crushed a few vanilla wafers and sprinkled the crumbs across the top for decoration. Everything chilled overnight, so the crisp cookies absorbed moisture and softened into cake-like layers. The dessert cost 78 cents to make in 1954 and served 12 people. Each slice revealed distinct cookie layers separated by vanilla cream. The simple vanilla flavor let the transformation from crisp cookie to soft cake texture shine. By 1984, vanilla seemed too plain compared to more exotic desserts, and this simple icebox cake disappeared from most tables. What simple, comforting dessert flavor brings back the strongest memories of your grandmother's cooking? Peppermint Fluff was the festive Christmas refrigerator dessert that combined crushed peppermint candy, vanilla pudding, whipped cream, and miniature marshmallows folded together until pale pink and fluffy, then chilled overnight and served in individual glass dishes, garnished with additional candy cane pieces that made it look like winter wonderland, transformed into edible form. The dessert gained popularity during the mid-1950s, when hard peppermint candies and candy canes became inexpensive holiday staples that creative cooks incorporated into desserts beyond simple candy dishes. Grandmas made peppermint fluff by crushing peppermint stick candies or candy canes in paper bags with rolling pins until they became coarse powder with some larger chunks remaining. The candy dust got stirred into prepared vanilla pudding while still warm, so some of the candy dissolved and turned the pudding pale pink. After the pudding cooled, grandmas folded in miniature marshmallows and whipped cream sweetened with powdered sugar, creating a fluffy pink mixture studded with candy pieces and soft marshmallows. Everything got spooned into individual glass dessert cups and chilled at least 4 hours. Just before serving, they garnished each cup with additional whipped cream and a small candy cane hooked over the rim. The dessert cost $1.17 to make in 1956 and served 8 people. Each spoonful delivered cool peppermint flavor against sweet vanilla cream and soft marshmallows, with occasional crunchy candy pieces providing texture contrast. The pale pink color and candy cane garnish made it perfect for Christmas dinners and holiday parties. By 1985, elaborate individual desserts seemed too fussy, and simpler options replaced traditional fluff desserts. What holiday flavor brings back the strongest Christmas memories from your grandmother's kitchen? 35 desserts without turning on an oven once. These grandmothers understood something modern cooks forgot. Temperature control isn't always about heat. Sometimes it's about strategic cold, patient waiting, and trusting that time in the refrigerator accomplishes what ovens never could: perfect texture without risk of burning. Scotcheroos were the no-bake peanut butter rice cereal bars that combined Caro corn syrup, sugar, and peanut butter melted together and mixed with Rice Krispies, then pressed into pans and topped with melted chocolate and butterscotch chips, creating the ultimate sweet and salty treat that grandmothers made for bake sales and after-school snacks throughout the late 1950s. The recipe came from Kellogg's Rice Krispies boxes and became wildly popular because it required no baking and used simple pantry ingredients that most families already had on hand. Unlike traditional Rice Krispies treats made with marshmallows, Scotcheroos used a peanut butter corn syrup base that stayed chewy even after sitting out at room temperature. Grandmas made them by heating corn syrup and white sugar in large pans just until the sugar dissolved and the mixture bubbled gently, then stirring in peanut butter until smooth. Rice Krispies cereal got stirred into the hot peanut butter mixture until every piece was coated. Then the whole mixture pressed firmly into buttered 9 by 13-inch pans. While the base cooled, grandmas melted chocolate chips and butterscotch chips together in double boilers or in low ovens, stirring until smooth and glossy. The melted chip mixture spread across the pressed cereal base and left to cool until the topping hardened. The bars cost $1.34 to make in 1958 and yielded 24 large pieces. Each bar delivered crunchy cereal, salty peanut butter, and sweet chocolate butterscotch topping in perfect combination. By 1986, homemade cereal bars seemed unnecessary when Little Debbie and Cobblers sold similar products. What after-school treat do you remember most from your grandmother's kitchen? O. Henry bars were the no-bake peanut butter oatmeal bars that tasted remarkably similar to the famous O. Henry. Candy bars, combining corn syrup, brown sugar, peanut butter, and quick oats pressed into pans and topped with melted chocolate chips and peanuts, creating something grandmothers made when families wanted candy bar flavor without paying candy bar prices. While the oat base cooled slightly, Grandma's melted chocolate chips in double boilers, stirred in a small amount of peanut butter to make the chocolate coating smooth and glossy. Then spread it across the pressed oat layer. Chopped roasted peanuts got sprinkled across the wet chocolate before it hardened. The bars cost 98 cents to make in 1956 and yielded 24 pieces. Each bar delivered chewy caramel-like oat base, rich peanut butter flavor, crunchy peanuts, and chocolate coating that tasted remarkably similar to the expensive candy bars. By 1985, homemade candy bars seemed unnecessary when convenience stores sold the real thing. What homemade treat tasted better than store-bought versions in your grandmother's kitchen? Cranberry whip was the beautiful pink refrigerator dessert that combined fresh cranberries cooked with sugar until they burst and released their tart juice, then cooled and folded into whipped cream with miniature marshmallows, creating something grandmothers made for Thanksgiving and Christmas, when fresh cranberries flooded markets and families needed festive desserts that didn't compete for oven space with turkey and pies. The recipe came from women's magazines during the early 1950s, when home economists promoted cranberries beyond traditional sauce as a versatile ingredient for salads, desserts, and beverages. Grandmas made cranberry whip by cooking fresh cranberries with sugar and a small amount of water until the berries popped and the mixture turned deep red and thick. After cooling completely, they folded the cranberry mixture into whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar and vanilla extract. Miniature marshmallows got folded in at the end, adding soft texture and extra sweetness that balanced the tart cranberries. Everything got spooned into a glass serving bowl and chilled at least 4 hours so the marshmallows softened and absorbed cranberry flavor. The dessert turned pale pink from cranberry juice mixing with white whipped cream. Some grandmas garnished the top with whole fresh cranberries and mint leaves for extra holiday color. The dessert cost 84 cents to make in 1955 and served 10 people. Each spoonful delivered tart cranberry flavor against sweet cream and soft marshmallows. The beautiful pink color and festive cranberry taste made it perfect for holiday dinners. By 1984, cranberry desserts seemed old-fashioned compared to chocolate Yule logs and pumpkin cheesecakes. What holiday dessert color or flavor reminds you most of celebrations at your grandmother's house? Tutti Frutti ice cream dessert was the colorful frozen refrigerator dessert that combined vanilla ice cream softened just enough to stir, mixed with chopped maraschino cherries, crushed pineapple, miniature marshmallows, chopped pecans, and whipped cream folded together, then frozen in loaf pans and sliced into beautiful multicolored squares that grandmothers served at birthday parties and summer celebrations throughout the 1950s. The dessert gained popularity when home freezers became standard kitchen appliances, and families could make frozen desserts ahead of time instead of rushing to serve them before they melted. Grandmas made Tutti Frutti by letting vanilla ice cream soften at room temperature just until it could be stirred easily without melting completely. They folded in drained maraschino cherries cut into quarters, drained crushed pineapple, miniature marshmallows, and chopped toasted pecans until everything distributed evenly throughout. Whipped heavy cream folded in last, adding extra volume and creamy texture. Everything got spooned into loaf pans lined with wax paper for easy removal, smoothed on top, covered tightly, and frozen until firm, usually overnight. When ready to serve, grandmas unmolded the frozen loaves onto serving plates, removed the wax paper, and sliced them into inch-thick pieces that showed all the colorful fruit and nut pieces suspended throughout. The dessert cost $1.62 to make in 1957 and served 12 people. Each slice revealed rainbow colors from pink cherries, yellow pineapple, white marshmallows, and brown nuts throughout creamy vanilla ice cream. By 1986, elaborate homemade frozen desserts seemed unnecessary when grocery stores sold premium ice creams in dozens of flavors. What frozen treat brings back the happiest summer memories from childhood? Angel Food Refrigerator Dessert was the impressive layered dessert that transformed store-bought Angel Food cake into an elegant refrigerator masterpiece. By tearing the cake into pieces, layering them with lemon pudding and whipped cream, then chilling overnight until the cake absorbed moisture and turned into something that tasted like lemon trifle, but required no baking skills and cost less than $2 to make. The recipe appeared in women's magazines during the mid-1950s as a way to make inexpensive bakery angel food cakes look and taste like fancy European trifles. Grandmas could buy angel food cakes for less than $1, which made them cheaper than baking from scratch when you factored in ingredients and time. They made the dessert by tearing angel food cake into bite-sized pieces and arranging half the pieces in the bottom of glass trifle bowls or rectangular baking dishes. Lemon instant pudding, prepared according to package directions, got spread over the first cake layer, then half the whipped cream, sweetened with powdered sugar, spread over the pudding. The remaining cake pieces made a second layer, topped with remaining pudding and whipped cream. Some grandmas added fresh lemon zest and sliced strawberries between layers for extra flavor and color. Everything chilled overnight, so the dry cake absorbed pudding and cream moisture and transformed into soft, cake-like texture. The dessert cost $1.73 to make in 1958 and served 15 people. Each spoonful showed layers of soft cake, tangy lemon pudding, and sweet whipped cream. By 1985, traditional trifles seemed more sophisticated than simple cake and pudding layers. What store-bought item did your grandmother transform into something homemade and special? 40 desserts completed, and the pattern crystallizes. Every single recipe solved a specific problem. Limited oven space during holidays, hot summer kitchens, tight budgets, unexpected guests. These weren't just desserts. They were solutions disguised as sweets. The final 20 proved this ingenuity ran even deeper. Chocolate fiddle-diddles were the quirky named no-bake cookies that became one of 50 different regional names for the same basic recipe, combining butter, sugar, cocoa powder, milk, quick oats, peanut butter, and vanilla boiled together on the stovetop, then dropped by spoonfuls onto wax paper and left to harden at room temperature into chewy chocolate cookies that required absolutely no oven time and could be made start to finish in under 15 minutes. The name fiddle-diddles appeared in community cookbooks across the Midwest during the early 1950s, though the exact same recipe went by preacher cookies in the South, because they could be made quickly when the preacher announced an unexpected Sunday visit. Mudballs in Pennsylvania, haystacks in farm communities, lazy witches in New England, and at least 40 other creative names depending on which grandmother you asked and which region of America she called home. Grandmas made chocolate fiddle-diddles by combining butter, white sugar, unsweetened cocoa powder, and milk in heavy saucepans, and bringing everything to a full rolling boil over medium-high heat, stirring constantly to prevent scorching. Once the mixture reached a full boil, they set timers for exactly 1 minute and let it boil without stirring, which cooked the sugar to the proper temperature for the cookies to set correctly when cooled. After 1 minute of boiling, they removed the pans from heat and immediately stirred in peanut butter until it melted completely and distributed evenly throughout the chocolate mixture. Quick cooking oats and vanilla extract got stirred in last, and the whole mixture got dropped by rounded tablespoonfuls onto sheets of wax paper spread across kitchen counters and tables. The cookies cost 63 cents to make in 1954 and yielded approximately 3 dozen cookies, depending on size. By 1985, the charm of quirky regional recipe names faded, as standardized cookbooks replaced handwritten community recipe collections, and these simple stovetop cookies became known generically as no-bake cookies, without the personality and local flavor that names like Fiddle Diddles once provided. Modern cooks who discovered the recipe often dismissed it as too simple or old-fashioned compared to elaborate French macarons or artisanal cookies from trendy bakeries. What regional food name from your grandmother's kitchen always made you smile when she said it out loud? Kaleidoscope Squares were the stunning no-bake cookies that lived up to their colorful name by combining melted chocolate, butter, and graham cracker crumbs mixed with pastel miniature marshmallows and chopped walnuts, shaped into logs, rolled in coconut, chilled until firm, then sliced into pinwheel cookies that revealed rainbow marshmallow circles against dark chocolate backgrounds, like looking through an actual kaleidoscope, turned into edible form. The recipe appeared in women's magazines during the mid-1950s, when colorful presentations mattered as much as taste, and grandmothers competed to bring the most visually impressive dishes to church potlucks, bridge club meetings, and holiday cookie exchanges where appearance could make or break a recipe's reputation among discerning home cooks. Grandmas made kaleidoscope squares by melting semi-sweet chocolate chips with butter in double boilers or heavy saucepans over low heat, stirring constantly until smooth and glossy without any grainy texture or scorched chocolate flavor that would ruin the entire batch. Once melted, they removed the chocolate from heat and stirred in finely crushed graham cracker crumbs until the mixture became thick enough to hold its shape. Pastel-colored miniature marshmallows got folded in gently so they stayed whole and didn't melt from the warm chocolate, followed by finely chopped walnuts that added crunch and nutty flavor to balance the sweet marshmallows and rich chocolate. Some grandmas used the colored marshmallows that came in pink, yellow, green, and white, while others used all-white marshmallows and added a few drops of food coloring to some of them before mixing to create custom color combinations that matched holiday themes or party decorations. The cookies cost $1.47 to make in 1956 and yielded approximately 48 slices depending on thickness. Each cookie revealed a different marshmallow pattern, making them endlessly interesting to look at and delightful to eat. The combination of smooth chocolate, chewy marshmallows, crunchy nuts, and sweet coconut created complex texture and flavor in every bite. Children loved choosing cookies with the most colorful marshmallow patterns visible from the outside. The cookies could be made 2 weeks ahead and stored in the refrigerator, making them perfect for busy holiday seasons when grandmothers needed make-ahead treats that wouldn't spoil or lose quality over time. By 1986, the elaborate shaping and rolling seemed too time-consuming compared to dropping cookie dough from spoons, and these beautiful kaleidoscope creations disappeared from most cookie exchanges. What beautiful homemade cookies do you remember your grandmother making that looked too pretty to eat? Malted milk clusters were the nostalgic no-bake candies that combined malted milk powder, chocolate chips, peanut butter, and Rice Krispies cereal stirred together and dropped into little mounds that hardened into candy-like clusters, tasting exactly like malted milk balls from old-fashioned candy shops, but costing a fraction of the price and requiring no special candy-making equipment or thermometers that could intimidate home cooks who wanted to make candy but feared the precise temperature-controlled traditional candy recipes demanded. The recipe gained popularity during the late 1950s, when malted milk powder moved beyond milkshakes into cookies, cakes, and candies, as creative home cooks discovered its unique flavor-enhanced chocolate desserts and added nostalgic appeal that reminded adults of childhood trips to soda fountains and ice cream parlors. Grandmas made malted milk clusters by melting chocolate chips and peanut butter together in double boilers over simmering water, stirring constantly until smooth and completely combined, without any streaks of peanut butter remaining visible in the chocolate. Toffee Graham Squares were the addictively crunchy, no-bake treats that transformed ordinary graham crackers into something that tasted like expensive English toffee by arranging whole graham crackers in pans, pouring hot butter-brown sugar toffee mixture over them, letting it soak in and harden, then topping everything with melted chocolate and chopped pecans before cutting into squares that shattered like glass when you bit into them, delivering the perfect combination of buttery toffee, chocolate sweetness, and nutty crunch that made them disappear faster than any other treat at cookie exchanges and bake sales throughout the 1950s. The recipe spread through community cookbooks and church recipe collections like wildfire because it required minimal ingredients, no special equipment, and produced results that looked and tasted far more complicated and expensive than the simple preparation suggested to anyone watching the cooking process unfold. Grandmas made toffee graham squares by lining jelly roll pans with aluminum foil for easy cleanup and removal, then arranging whole graham crackers in single layers across the bottom, breaking crackers as needed to fill in gaps and create complete coverage with no pan bottom showing through. The toffee mixture came together quickly by melting butter in heavy saucepans, stirring in brown sugar, bringing the mixture to a full rolling boil over medium-high heat, then boiling for exactly 3 minutes while stirring constantly to prevent scorching. The timing was critical. Less than 3 minutes and the toffee wouldn't set properly. More than 3 minutes and it became too hard and brittle. After 3 minutes of boiling, Grandmas immediately poured the bubbling hot toffee mixture over the graham crackers, spreading it quickly with spatulas to cover every cracker completely before the toffee cooled and hardened. The pans went into preheated ovens at 300 degrees for exactly 5 minutes, which allowed the toffee to bubble and soak into the graham crackers, creating the signature crunchy texture that made these squares different from simple chocolate-covered graham crackers. As soon as the pans came out of the oven, Grandmas immediately sprinkled chocolate chips across the hot toffee surface and waited 2 minutes for the chips to melt from residual heat, then spread the melted chocolate into smooth layers covering all the toffee. Finely chopped pecans got sprinkled across the wet chocolate, pressed down gently to make sure they adhered, and the whole pan went into the refrigerator to cool and harden completely, usually about 2 hours. What homemade bar cookie or square do you remember fighting with siblings to get the last piece? Chocolate tiffin was the British-inspired no-bake refrigerator treat that became popular in American kitchens during the mid-1950s, when international recipes started appearing in women's magazines and grandmothers experimented with European desserts that seemed exotic and sophisticated compared to traditional American cakes and pies. The dessert combined crushed digestive biscuits or graham crackers with melted chocolate, butter, corn syrup, and dried fruits, pressed into square pans, chilled until firm, then topped with melted chocolate and cut into small squares that delivered intense chocolate flavor, combined with crunchy cookie pieces and chewy fruit bits in every bite, creating something that tasted like expensive imported chocolates, but could be made at home for less than $2 total cost. The name tiffin came from British tea culture, referring to light refreshments served between lunch and dinner, though American grandmothers served it as full dessert rather than afternoon snack. Grandmas made chocolate tiffin by crushing graham crackers into coarse crumbs with some larger pieces remaining to create interesting texture rather than uniform powder. The crushed crackers went into large mixing bowls, along with golden raisins, dried cherries, or dried apricots cut into small pieces, and chopped walnuts or almonds for crunch. In heavy saucepans, they melted butter with semi-sweet chocolate chips and light corn syrup over low heat, stirring constantly until smooth and glossy, without any grainy texture or separated fat that would indicate overheating or poor quality chocolate. Some grandmas added a tablespoon of instant coffee granules to the melted chocolate mixture to enhance the chocolate flavor without making the dessert taste like coffee. A professional baker's trick that elevated homemade desserts to restaurant quality. Once the chocolate mixture melted completely, they poured it over the cracker fruit nut mixture in the bowls and stirred thoroughly until every piece was coated with chocolate and the mixture held together cohesively when pressed. The mixture got pressed firmly into square baking pans lined with parchment paper or aluminum foil, smoothed on top with spatulas or the back of spoons, and refrigerated for 30 minutes until the base set firm. While the base chilled, grandmas melted additional chocolate chips in double boilers, stirred them until perfectly smooth, then spread the melted chocolate across the chilled tiffin base in thin, even layers that would harden into glossy surfaces. Some grandmas scored the chocolate topping with fork tines to create decorative patterns before it hardened completely. The tiffin chilled for at least 2 hours, until both the base and topping became firm enough to cut cleanly into small squares without squishing or crumbling. By 1986, British-inspired desserts fell out of favor as American cooks focused on domestic regional cuisines and trendy French pastries, and chocolate tiffin became a forgotten relic of 1950s international cooking trends. What international recipe did your grandmother make that seemed exotic and special compared to everyday American food? 45 desserts in, the brilliance shines through every recipe. These grandmothers mastered chemistry without culinary degrees, understood timing without digital thermometers, and created beauty without Instagram inspiration. Each recipe represented hours of testing, adjusting, and perfecting until success became guaranteed. 20 more prove this wasn't luck. English trifle was the impressive layered refrigerator dessert that transformed simple ingredients like pound cake, raspberry jam, vanilla custard, sherry, fresh berries, and whipped cream. Grandmas made English trifle by cutting store-bought pound cake into 1-inch cubes and arranging half the cubes in the bottom of clear glass trifle bowls or large glass serving bowls that showed off the layers from the sides. Raspberry jam got diluted with a small amount of sherry or fruit juice and drizzled over the cake cubes, soaking into them and adding moisture and flavor. Some grandmas used actual cream sherry for authentic British flavor, while others substituted orange juice or raspberry juice for family-friendly versions without alcohol. Vanilla pudding prepared from instant mix according to package directions got spread over the soaked cake layer, creating the first creamy component. Fresh raspberries, sliced strawberries, or a combination of berries got scattered across the pudding layer, adding bright color and fresh fruit flavor. The process repeated with another layer of cake cubes, more jam mixture, more pudding, and more berries, creating distinct striations visible through the clear glass that made the dessert look almost too pretty to serve. The final layer consisted of whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar and vanilla, spread smoothly across the top and garnished with perfect whole berries, sliced almonds, and sometimes chocolate shavings or candied violets for extra elegance. The entire trifle chilled overnight so the cake absorbed liquid and softened into texture, similar to soaked ladyfingers in tiramisu. The flavors married together, and everything set into cohesive dessert rather than separate components stacked in a bowl. The clear glass presentation made it interactive, guests could see exactly what they were getting before the first spoonful touched their lips. By 1985, trifles seemed old-fashioned and fussy compared to simpler layered desserts, and the tradition of making elaborate, multi-layer refrigerator desserts largely disappeared, except in British American households that maintained cultural food traditions. The requirement for special trifle bowls also limited its appeal to cooks who didn't want to invest in single-purpose serving dishes. What special serving dish did your grandmother own that only came out for one particular recipe or occasion? Maraschino cherry rice pudding was the beautiful pink-flecked refrigerator dessert that elevated ordinary rice pudding into something special by folding chopped maraschino cherries and their bright red juice into creamy rice pudding along with whipped cream and almond extract, creating something that tasted like cherry almond clouds and looked festive enough for birthday parties, Valentine's Day celebrations, and any occasion when grandmothers wanted familiar comfort food dressed up in party clothes that would appeal to children who normally wrinkled their noses at plain rice pudding. The addition of maraschino cherries transformed the beige pudding into pale pink dessert, studded with red cherry pieces, while almond extract enhanced the natural almond flavor in the cherries and created sophisticated taste that adults appreciated alongside the sweet cherry flavor children loved. Grandmas made maraschino cherry rice pudding by cooking long-grain white rice in milk with sugar, a pinch of salt, and vanilla extract, stirring frequently over medium-low heat until the rice became tender and absorbed most of the milk, creating thick, creamy consistency similar to risotto, but sweeter. This process took approximately 45 minutes of nearly constant stirring to prevent the milk from scorching on the bottom of the pan, which would ruin the entire batch with burned flavor that couldn't be disguised or corrected. Once the rice cooked to tender consistency and the mixture thickened properly, grandmas removed it from heat and let it cool to room temperature, stirring occasionally to prevent skin from forming on top. While the rice pudding cooled, they drained jars of maraschino cherries, reserving the bright red juice, then chopped the cherries into quarter-inch pieces. The cooled rice pudding got transferred to large mixing bowls, and grandmas stirred in chopped cherries, several tablespoons of reserved cherry juice to create pink color throughout, and almond extract to enhance flavor. Heavy cream whipped to stiff peaks with powdered sugar got folded into the pink cherry rice pudding, lightening the texture and making it fluffy rather than dense and heavy, like traditional baked rice pudding. Everything got spooned into individual glass dessert cups or one large glass serving bowl and chilled at least 4 hours before serving. What childhood dessert flavor brings back the strongest sense memory when you encounter it unexpectedly? Coconut snowballs were the festive no-bake Christmas candies that looked exactly like their name suggested. Perfect white spheres covered entirely in shredded coconut that resembled freshly fallen snow, created by mixing sweetened condensed milk with powdered sugar and vanilla until thick dough formed, shaping it into small balls, then rolling them in sweetened flaked coconut until completely covered, and chilling until firm enough to serve as elegant holiday candies that grandmothers arranged on fancy plates alongside fudge, divinity, and peanut brittle during Christmas cookie exchanges and New Year's celebrations. The pure white color made them stand out on candy trays filled with chocolate and caramel treats, and their simple, clean coconut flavor provided relief from intensely sweet and rich holiday candies that could overwhelm the palate after eating several different varieties during parties and gatherings. Grandmas made coconut snowballs by pouring entire cans of sweetened condensed milk into large mixing bowls and gradually stirring in powdered sugar, a cup at a time, until the mixture became thick enough to hold its shape when rolled into balls, rather than remaining sticky and fluid like cake batter. The exact amount of powdered sugar needed varied depending on humidity and temperature in the kitchen, but most grandmas used approximately 4 cups of powdered sugar to 1 can of condensed milk. Vanilla extract and almond extract both got stirred in to enhance the coconut flavor without making the candies taste overtly like almonds. Some grandmas added a pinch of salt to balance the intense sweetness and make the coconut flavor more complex. Once the mixture reached the proper consistency, grandmas pinched off tablespoon-sized portions and rolled them between their palms into perfect spheres, working quickly because the warmth from their hands would soften the mixture if they worked too slowly. Sweetened flaked coconut spread across large plates or sheets of wax paper, and each ball got rolled through the coconut until completely covered with thick coating that obscured the white candy center beneath. The coconut coating needed to be pressed gently into the surface of each ball to make sure it adhered properly and wouldn't fall off when the candies were moved or served. The finished snowballs got arranged on baking sheets lined with wax paper and refrigerated for at least 2 hours until the centers firmed up enough to hold their shape without squishing when picked up. The candies cost 94 cents to make in 1956 and yielded approximately 40 snowballs depending on size. What homemade candy did your grandmother make every Christmas that the holiday season didn't feel complete without? Butterscotch icebox pie was the smooth and creamy refrigerator pie that delivered pure butterscotch flavor without the fussiness of cooked custard pies that could curdle or develop skin on top if not handled properly, making it the perfect dessert for grandmothers who wanted impressive results with minimal risk of failure, especially during hot summer months when turning on ovens to bake pies seemed unbearable and cold refrigerator desserts offered relief from sweltering kitchens that lacked the air conditioning systems modern cooks take for granted in contemporary homes. The pie combined butterscotch pudding, whipped cream, and cream cheese in perfect proportions that created mousse-like texture lighter than traditional butterscotch pudding but richer than simple whipped cream, filling graham cracker crusts and chilling until set firm enough to slice cleanly without the filling oozing out or collapsing into puddles on dessert plates. Grandmas made butterscotch icebox pie by preparing butterscotch pudding according to package directions, using the cook and serve variety rather than instant because the cooked version had better flavor and texture for pie filling. While the pudding cooked on the stovetop, they beat softened cream cheese with electric mixers until fluffy and smooth without any lumps that would create grainy texture in the finished pie. The hot pudding got gradually beaten into the cream cheese, a few spoonfuls at a time, mixing thoroughly after each addition to prevent the cream cheese from forming clumps when it met the hot pudding. This gradual tempering technique ensured silky smooth filling without curdled texture that would ruin the pie's appearance and mouthfeel. Once all the pudding incorporated into the cream cheese, the mixture cooled to room temperature, while grandmas whipped heavy cream with powdered sugar and vanilla until stiff peaks formed. The cooled butterscotch mixture got folded into the whipped cream gently but thoroughly, creating light and airy filling that tasted intensely of butterscotch but felt cloud-like on the tongue, rather than heavy and dense like traditional pudding. The filling got spooned into graham cracker or vanilla wafer crusts, smoothed on top, and chilled at least 6 hours or preferably overnight so it set properly and developed full flavor as the butterscotch mellowed and blended with the cream. By 1985, butterscotch fell out of fashion as a popular dessert flavor, replaced by salted caramel, dulce de leche, and other caramel variations that seemed more sophisticated and modern, and simple butterscotch icebox pies became forgotten relics of an earlier era when butterscotch ranked alongside chocolate and vanilla as essential dessert flavors. What flavor that was popular in your grandmother's time completely disappeared from modern desserts and menus? Cherry almond mousse pie was the elegant refrigerator pie that combined cherry pie filling, almond extract, cream cheese, and whipped topping in perfect proportions that created beautiful pink mousse-like filling studded with whole cherries, all nestled in chocolate cookie crusts that provided color and flavor contrast against the pale pink filling, making it the ultimate special occasion dessert that grandmothers made for birthdays, anniversaries, and Valentine's Day celebrations, when they wanted something that looked expensive and tasted like bakery-quality pastry, but required no baking skills beyond crushing chocolate cookies and mixing ingredients together in the correct order. The combination of cherry and almond flavors created classic pairing that Europeans had appreciated for centuries, but American grandmothers made it accessible by using canned cherry pie filling and almond extract rather than fresh cherries and expensive imported almond paste. Grandmas made cherry almond mousse pie by beating softened cream cheese with powdered sugar and almond extract until completely smooth and fluffy, without any lumps remaining that would create grainy texture in the finished mousse. The almond extract needed to be measured carefully because too much created artificial bitter flavor rather than pleasant almond essence that enhanced the cherries. Cherry pie filling got stirred in next, and grandmas had to decide whether to leave the cherries whole for dramatic presentation or chop them smaller for easier eating. Different families had strong preferences about this detail. The cherry mixture got folded into whipped topping gently to avoid deflating all the air that created the light mousse texture. The filling got spooned into chocolate cookie crusts made from crushed Oreos or chocolate graham crackers, mixed with melted butter and pressed into pie plates. The dark chocolate crust created beautiful visual contrast against pale pink cherry filling, and made the dessert look more sophisticated than the same filling in regular graham cracker crusts. The pies chilled at least 4 hours until the cream cheese filling set firm enough to slice cleanly. Though overnight chilling developed better flavor, 50 desserts without a single failure point if you followed directions exactly. These recipes didn't allow for improvisation or creativity. They demanded precision, patience, and respect for the chemistry that made gelatin set, chocolate harden, and cream whip. The final 10 show this discipline extended to every detail. Candy cane pie was the festive Christmas refrigerator pie that captured the essence of peppermint candy canes in smooth, creamy filling by crushing candy canes into fine powder and folding them into whipped cream cheese mixture that turned pale pink from the peppermint candies and tasted exactly like the holiday season transformed into edible form, all spooned into chocolate cookie crusts and chilled until firm enough to slice, creating the ultimate Christmas dessert that grandmothers made during December, when peppermint candy filled stores at bargain prices, and families wanted desserts that tasted specifically like Christmas, rather than generic sweets that could appear any time of year. The red and white striped candy canes provided both flavor and natural food coloring, eliminating the need for artificial additives while creating beautiful pink filling that looked festive on holiday dessert tables. Peanut butter icebox pie was the rich and creamy refrigerator pie that delivered intense peanut butter flavor in smooth, mousse-like filling by beating cream cheese with peanut butter, powdered sugar, and vanilla until fluffy, then folding in whipped topping and spooning everything into graham cracker crusts before chilling overnight until set firm enough to slice, creating the ultimate peanut butter lover's dream dessert that tasted like peanut butter cups transformed into elegant pie form, with none of the graininess or dryness that plagued some peanut butter desserts when the ratios weren't balanced correctly. Grandmothers made this pie when they needed impressive desserts that would please children and adults equally, since peanut butter's universal appeal crossed generational boundaries, unlike some flavors that skewed toward either young or mature palates exclusively. Grandmas made peanut butter icebox pie by beating softened cream cheese with smooth peanut butter using electric mixers on high speed until the mixture became completely smooth and fluffy. Seafoam salad was the pale green refrigerator dessert that got its distinctive name from the foamy, cloud-like texture created by whipping lime jello with cream cheese until it tripled in volume and turned the color of seafoam on ocean waves, then folding in crushed pineapple, miniature marshmallows, and chopped pecans before spooning everything into molds and chilling overnight until set firm enough to unmold onto serving plates, creating something that tasted like tropical vacation transformed into edible form, even though most grandmothers making it had never seen an actual ocean and relied entirely on imagination to connect the pale green dessert to its maritime name. The dessert appeared at church potlucks, ladies' luncheons, and Easter dinners throughout the 1950s, when Jell-O salads dominated American tables, and women competed to create the most impressive molded desserts that demonstrated both creativity and technical skill in achieving perfect gelatin consistency that unmolded cleanly without tearing or collapsing into shapeless blobs. Grandmas made seafoam salad by dissolving lime jello in boiling water according to package directions, then adding cold water and chilling until the mixture became syrupy and thick, but not fully set, which required careful timing and temperature control that came from experience rather than following exact measurements or clock watching. Once the jello reached the proper consistency, they added softened cream cheese and beat the mixture with electric mixers on high speed for several minutes until it tripled in volume, turned pale green like seafoam, and became fluffy like mousse, rather than remaining liquid like regular jello. The whipping process incorporated air bubbles throughout the gelatin. Divinity Fudge Squares were the no-bake candy bars that captured the fluffy, melt-in-your-mouth texture of traditional Divinity candy without requiring the precise temperature control and weather conditions that made Divinity notoriously difficult to prepare successfully, creating something grandmothers could make reliably any time of year, regardless of humidity levels that caused traditional Divinity to fail by refusing to set properly or becoming grainy instead of smooth. The squares combined marshmallow creme, white chocolate chips, powdered sugar, and chopped pecans pressed into pans, chilled until firm, then cut into small squares that delivered pure white candy sweetness in portion sizes appropriate for serving at parties, packaging in gift boxes, or selling at bake sales where individual pieces needed to look professional and uniform rather than rustic and handmade. Grandmas made Divinity Fudge Squares by melting white chocolate chips with butter in heavy saucepans over low heat, stirring constantly to prevent scorching or seizing that would turn the smooth chocolate into grainy, unusable mess. White chocolate required more careful attention than regular chocolate because it contained more milk solids and sugar that burned easily at high temperatures. Once the white chocolate melted completely, they removed it from heat and stirred in marshmallow creme until smooth and combined, creating base that would set into fudge-like texture when chilled rather than remaining fluid like candy coating. Powdered sugar got stirred in gradually until the mixture became thick enough to spread without running, but not so thick it became difficult to mix or press into pans. Chopped toasted pecans got folded in last, distributing nutty flavor and crunchy texture throughout the smooth white candy base. Some grandmas added vanilla extract or almond extract to enhance flavor, while others left it pure white chocolate and pecan flavor without additional complexity. The mixture got pressed firmly into square pans lined with aluminum foil or parchment paper for easy removal, smoothed on top with spatulas, and chilled until firm enough to cut cleanly, usually about 3 hours in the refrigerator. The squares cost $1.57 to make in 1957 and yielded approximately 36 pieces when cut into 1-inch squares. Each piece delivered sweet white chocolate flavor, fluffy marshmallow texture, and crunchy pecans in perfect combination. The pure white color made them stand out on candy trays alongside chocolate fudge and peanut brittle, creating visual interest through color contrast. Rocky Road Squares were the chocolate marshmallow nut candy bars that captured the classic ice cream flavor combination in no-bake format by melting chocolate chips with butter and peanut butter, stirring in miniature marshmallows and chopped peanuts, pressing everything into pans, and chilling until firm before cutting into squares that delivered chocolate richness, marshmallow chewiness, and peanut crunch in every bite, creating something grandmothers made when they needed crowd-pleasing desserts that appealed to children and adults equally, since everyone loved the familiar Rocky Road flavor profile that had been popular since ice cream makers introduced it decades earlier as one of the classic American ice cream flavors alongside vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. The no-bake preparation meant grandmas could make these squares year-round without heating up kitchens during summer months when turning on ovens became unbearable in homes lacking air conditioning. Grandmas made Rocky Road squares by melting semi-sweet chocolate chips with butter and smooth peanut butter in heavy saucepans over low heat, stirring constantly until the mixture became smooth and glossy without any grainy texture or separated fat that indicated overheating or poor quality chocolate. The peanut butter served double duty. It added flavor and also helped the chocolate mixture spread more easily and cut more cleanly when chilled, because the fat in peanut butter prevented the chocolate from becoming too hard and brittle. Once the chocolate mixture melted completely, grandmas removed it from heat and let it cool slightly so it wouldn't melt the marshmallows completely when mixed together. Miniature marshmallows and coarsely chopped roasted peanuts got stirred into the barely warm chocolate mixture, and grandmas had to work relatively quickly before the chocolate cooled too much and became too thick to incorporate the marshmallows and nuts evenly. The marshmallows needed to stay mostly intact rather than melting completely into the chocolate. The goal was to maintain distinct pockets of soft marshmallow throughout rather than creating uniform chocolate marshmallow fudge. The mixture got pressed into square pans lined with aluminum foil, smoothed on top, and chilled until firm enough to cut cleanly without squishing the marshmallows or leaving chocolate residue on the knife blade. 55 desserts deep, the truth becomes unavoidable. These weren't random recipes collected haphazardly. Each one solved specific problems: budget constraints, limited equipment, hot weather, make-ahead convenience, crowd-pleasing flavors. These grandmothers were engineers disguised as home cooks. The final 5 prove it conclusively. Chocolate coconut haystacks were the rustic no-bake cookies that looked exactly like their name suggested. Small mounds of chocolate-covered coconut, shaped into rough haystack formations rather than uniform balls or perfect clusters, creating cookies that valued flavor over appearance and proved that desserts didn't need flawless presentation to taste absolutely delicious and become family favorites that children requested repeatedly despite their homely appearance, that would never win beauty contests at fancy cookie exchanges where visual presentation mattered as much as taste. Grandmothers made these cookies when they needed simple, fast desserts that required minimal ingredients and even less skill, making them perfect for teaching children to bake since the recipe contained no steps that could fail catastrophically if not executed with precision timing or temperature control. Grandmas made chocolate coconut haystacks by melting chocolate chips with a small amount of butter in double boilers or heavy saucepans over low heat, stirring constantly until smooth and glossy. Some grandmas used semi-sweet chocolate chips for classic chocolate flavor, while others preferred milk chocolate chips for sweeter, milder taste that children enjoyed more. Once the chocolate melted completely, they removed it from heat and stirred in sweetened, flaked coconut, until every piece was coated with chocolate, and the mixture became thick enough to hold together when dropped from spoons rather than spreading flat. The key involved using enough coconut to create clusters that held their shape, but not so much coconut that the mixture became dry and crumbly, without enough chocolate to bind everything together. Working quickly before the chocolate cooled and hardened, grandmas dropped rounded teaspoonfuls of the chocolate coconut mixture onto baking sheets lined with wax paper, creating rough mounds that resembled miniature haystacks scattered across fields after harvest. The cookies didn't need to look perfect. Their rustic, uneven appearance was part of their charm, and what distinguished them from fussy, precisely shaped candies that required molds or special equipment. Some grandmas added chopped almonds or pecans to the mixture for extra crunch and nutty flavor, while others kept them pure chocolate coconut without additions. The haystack sat at room temperature until the chocolate hardened completely, usually about 2 hours depending on kitchen temperature. Refrigerating them sped up the hardening process, but wasn't necessary unless the kitchen was extremely warm and the chocolate refused to set properly at room temperature. The cookies cost 87 cents to make in 1954 and yielded approximately 30 haystacks depending on size. Each cookie delivered chocolate richness and sweet coconut chewiness in perfect combination. The texture stayed chewy rather than crunchy, and the coconut provided enough substance to make each cookie feel satisfying rather than insubstantial. Sunshine Salad was the golden orange Jell-O creation that combined shredded carrots, crushed pineapple, and orange Jell-O in perfect proportions that created something hovering between dessert and side dish. Appearing on American tables during the 1950s when the line between sweet and savory blurred considerably, and families happily accepted Jell-O salads containing vegetables as appropriate accompaniments to roast chicken and baked ham, without anyone questioning the logic of serving carrot-studded gelatin alongside main courses, the way modern diners would find bizarre and unappetizing. The salad got its cheerful name from the bright orange color created by combining orange Jell-O with orange-colored shredded carrots, creating something that looked like captured sunshine molded into ring shapes and served on lettuce leaves with dollops of mayonnaise on top, though some grandmothers rebelled against the mayonnaise garnish and served it with whipped cream instead, transforming it definitively into dessert rather than salad. Grandmas made sunshine salad by dissolving orange or lemon Jell-O in boiling water, stirring in crushed pineapple with its juice, instead of using plain water for the cold liquid portion, creating double fruit flavor from both the Jell-O and pineapple working together. The mixture chilled until it became syrupy and thick, but not fully set, requiring careful timing that came from experience rather than precise temperature measurements or clock watching. Once the Jell-O reached proper consistency, they stirred in finely shredded carrots that had been grated using box graters or food processors until they resembled orange confetti rather than large carrot shreds that would create unpleasant texture in the finished salad. The key involved shredding the carrots fine enough to distribute evenly throughout the Jell-O rather than sinking to the bottom in clumps. Some grandmas added miniature marshmallows, chopped pecans, or coconut for extra texture and flavor, while purists kept it simple, with just carrots and pineapple letting the orange Jell-O flavor shine through without competing additions. Everything got spooned into oiled ring molds and chilled overnight until firm enough to unmold onto serving plates lined with crisp lettuce leaves. The unmolding process required running hot water over the outside of the molds briefly to loosen the gelatin, then inverting them onto plates and hoping the salads released cleanly without tearing or sticking to the molds. The salad cost 58 cents to make in 1953 and served 8 people when cut into wedges. Pecan praline icebox cake was the Southern-inspired refrigerator dessert that captured the essence of New Orleans praline candy in layered cake form by combining brown sugar, butter, and toasted pecans into praline sauce, layering it with vanilla wafer cookies and whipped cream, then chilling overnight until the crisp cookies softened into cake-like layers that tasted like elegant French pastry, but required no baking skills beyond knowing how to boil sugar and butter together until they reached proper consistency. The dessert brought sophisticated Southern flavor to home kitchens across America during the 1950s, when regional recipes spread through women's magazines and community cookbooks. Introducing home cooks to specialties from other parts of the country they might never visit in person, but could experience through carefully tested recipes adapted for home kitchens using ingredients available at local grocery stores. Grandmas made pecan praline icebox cake by creating praline sauce on the stovetop, melting butter in heavy saucepans, stirring in dark brown sugar and heavy cream, then bringing the mixture to a boil and cooking until it thickened into sauce consistency that would harden slightly when cooled, but remain soft enough to spread, rather than turning into brittle candy that would crack when cut. The timing required experience and judgment rather than precise temperature readings. Undercooked praline sauce stayed too thin and soaked into the cookies without creating distinct layers, while overcooked sauce hardened into candy rather than remaining spreadable. Toasted pecans chopped into small pieces got stirred into the finished praline sauce, adding nutty flavor and crunchy texture throughout. The assembly involved spreading thin layers of praline sauce in the bottom of rectangular glass baking dishes, arranging vanilla wafer cookies in single layers on top, spreading more praline sauce, adding more cookies, and repeating until all sauce was used, ending with praline sauce on top. Whipped heavy cream sweetened with powdered sugar and vanilla got spread across the final praline layer, and the entire cake chilled overnight, so the crisp vanilla wafers absorbed moisture from the praline sauce and whipped cream, transforming from crunchy cookies into soft, cake-like layers that cut cleanly and revealed distinct striations when sliced. The cake cost $1.68 to make in 1958 and served 12 people when cut into squares. Each portion delivered rich brown sugar and butter flavor, toasted pecan crunch, and sweet whipped cream against the soft vanilla wafer layers. Maple walnut trifle was the elegant fall dessert that captured the essence of autumn in layered presentation by combining maple-soaked pound cake, maple-flavored custard, toasted walnuts, and maple whipped cream in clear glass trifle bowls that showed off every beautiful layer, creating something grandmothers made for Thanksgiving dinners and harvest celebrations when maple flavor seemed appropriate and seasonal rather than strange or out of place, the way it would feel served at summer picnics or spring brunches. The dessert required real maple syrup rather than artificial maple-flavored pancake syrup to achieve authentic maple flavor that tasted like Vermont sugar shacks and New England fall foliage, rather than chemical factories producing artificial flavorings. Though the real maple syrup increased the cost considerably compared to desserts made with inexpensive artificial extracts and syrups. Grandmas made maple walnut trifle by cutting store-bought pound cake into 1-inch cubes and arranging half the cubes in the bottom of clear glass trifle bowls, then drizzling pure maple syrup mixed with a small amount of bourbon or rum over the cake cubes, soaking them thoroughly with maple flavor and alcohol that prevented the dessert from tasting cloyingly sweet. The alcohol cooked off during preparation but left complex flavor notes that enhanced the maple without making the dessert taste boozy. Maple custard came next, made by preparing vanilla pudding according to package directions but replacing half the milk with heavy cream and stirring in pure maple syrup and maple extract to create intense maple flavor throughout. The warm custard got spread over the soaked cake layer and toasted walnut pieces got scattered across the custard, adding crunch and nutty flavor that complemented the maple perfectly. The layering process, repeated with more maple-soaked cake cubes, more maple custard, and more toasted walnuts, creating distinct striations visible through the clear glass that made the dessert look almost too beautiful to disturb by scooping out servings. The final layer consisted of whipped heavy cream sweetened with maple syrup instead of powdered sugar, creating maple-flavored whipped cream that tied all the layers together with cohesive flavor profile. Additional toasted walnut halves and a drizzle of maple syrup garnished the top, making the presentation look professional and bakery quality despite simple preparation that required no special skills beyond layering ingredients carefully. Lemon icebox pie was the ultimate no-bake lemon dessert that combined sweetened condensed milk, fresh lemon juice, and egg yolks stirred together until thick and creamy, spooned into graham cracker crusts, and chilled until set firm enough to slice, creating the perfect balance of sweet and tart that made it the most requested dessert at summer gatherings, beach picnics, and backyard barbecues throughout the 1950s, when families wanted refreshing desserts that didn't require heating up kitchens during sweltering months when air conditioning remained a luxury most homes couldn't afford. The magic of the recipe lay in the chemical reaction between lemon juice and sweetened condensed milk. The acid in the lemon juice thickened the condensed milk without any cooking required, creating custard-like texture through chemistry rather than heat, which meant even inexperienced cooks could achieve perfect results every single time without worrying about curdled eggs or grainy texture that plagued cooked lemon custards when not handled properly. Grandmas made lemon icebox pie by separating eggs and beating the yolks with sweetened condensed milk until smooth and pale yellow, then stirring in fresh lemon juice and watching the mixture thicken almost immediately as the acid reacted with the condensed milk proteins. The ratio of lemon juice to condensed milk mattered critically. Too much lemon juice, and the filling became too tart and thin. Too little, and it tasted cloyingly sweet, without enough brightness to balance the richness. Most grandmas used approximately 1/2 cup of fresh lemon juice per 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, though some adjusted based on personal preference and the natural tartness of the lemons available. Fresh lemon juice made all the difference. Bottled lemon juice created flat, one-dimensional flavor that couldn't compete with the bright, complex taste of fresh squeezed juice. The filling got spooned into graham cracker crusts and chilled at least 4 hours until set firm, though overnight chilling developed better flavor as the lemon mellowed slightly and blended with the sweetness. Some grandmas topped the pies with meringue made from the leftover egg whites and browned it under the broiler for a few minutes, transforming the no-bake icebox pie into something closer to traditional lemon meringue pie. Others kept it simple, with whipped cream, or served it plain, letting the pure lemon filling shine without competition from other flavors or textures. The pie cost 91 cents to make in 1955, and served 8 people. 60 forgotten no-bake heirloom desserts from the 1950s that disappeared not because they tasted bad or looked unappealing, but because modern convenience replaced grandmother's patience and precision with store-bought shortcuts that saved time but sacrificed the stories, traditions, and family memories baked into every recipe. These weren't just desserts. They were solutions to real problems that 1950s grandmothers faced daily. Limited budgets that demanded stretching ingredients further, hot summer kitchens that made oven baking unbearable, holiday dinners requiring make-ahead desserts that wouldn't compete for oven space with turkey and ham, and unexpected guests who needed impressive desserts created from pantry staples without last-minute grocery shopping. From Nestle Road Pie's chestnut luxury to lemon icebox pie's 3-ingredient simplicity, from crown jewel cake's rainbow brilliance to chocolate fiddle diddle's quirky regional charm, each recipe represented hours of testing, adjusting, and perfecting until success became guaranteed every single time. These grandmothers weren't following trends. They were creating them, one refrigerator dessert at a time. Which forgotten recipe will you bring back to your family table first? Share this video with someone who remembers when desserts required patience instead of preheating, when homemade meant something special, and when Grandma's icebox held tomorrow's masterpiece. Subscribe for more forgotten recipes that deserve revival. Drop a comment telling us which dessert sparked your strongest memory. Let's bring these heirlooms home.